Okay, on this video we're going to be taking a look at this Xtrons 19.5 inch Android equipped overhead screen for cars, vans, motorhomes, all that kind of good stuff. This particular one is going to be going into a Toyota Estima build, which we are working on. All being well, I'll be bringing more updates and information on how that goes, because this screen will be going in approximately the OEM position, and the OEM screens that are fitted to some of the Estima range are substantially smaller. So this is going to also require some aesthetic or reinforcing modifications to the vehicle just to make this actually work and fit. As I say, it's 19.5 inches. It's one of the biggest fold down screens that are readily available on the market, and it's probably well over twice the size of an OEM screen that you could purchase from the factory. This video is just going to be a bit of an unboxing for anybody who's interested in this particular item, who may be wanting to go down the same route. And as I say, we'll be doing some installation stuff in the near future, but for now, let's get it out of the box, take a look, get it quickly fired up on the bench supply and get it running, see what it looks like. It's worth noting at this point that I have no affiliation with the company, and this has all been purchased out of my own pocket with my own money, and there is no sponsorship in this video for this particular item. You can see this box is still brand new. I've never actually opened it as yet, so you're coming on the journey along with me. Okay, so we've actually got a packing box over the top of the main screen's box. So as we can see here, automotive audio, ceiling and plug-in vehicle audio system for business and travel. Interestingly, this van build is actually for business reasons. It's not going to be a camper as such. It's almost going to be like a small mobile office to facilitate another requirement within the business. So let's pop this open. Interestingly, nothing on the box actually says it's an Xtrons product. Okay, so the actual screen is contained within polystyrene. An additional manual. We have a wiring loom, a series of screws, fixings, and the 2.5G air mouse, as this says on it. This is the remote control. Pretty nifty. And yeah, this appears to actually operate as a air mouse, as the word says, so I'm expecting there may be some kind of pointer that we can move around on the screen. Let's come to that in a moment. Usual sort of installation. This gives us a lot of basic operation and command, and the most important thing is we're going to be concerned about the installation into the vehicle. As I say, that will be a extra amount of work coming along. We'll refer to that when we need to, but let's quickly get this open and see what the main unit looks like. This is substantially larger than the location it's actually going to be installed into the car, but we like a challenge. This piece on top, this actual metal panel, this does come off. There are screws in the back of it. These are the fly leads that come out. These will need to be passed through the roof. We've got power, we've got audio connections, video connections, and from what I understand, connections which connect to the vehicle's dome lights. So there are a series of lights around this screen which illuminate in potentially different colours depending on your preference, and it all operates with the car's main dome light control. So we have this panel, which I'm assuming we're going to be taking off soon. This metal panel will actually be physically bolted to the car. But let's have a look on the other side. So generally, not a lot on the outside. When it's closed up, we have a series of switches and connections on this right hand side. I believe the switch will be to do with the dome light control, if you want it on, off, or set to come on with the doors. There's 3 positions on that switch. There's also a USB and an HDMI for easy access on that right hand side. A small amount of protective film on there. The release button, so let's just get that to release, which I believe will allow the screen to fold down. Okay, so there we have it. This is going to be a substantially large, wide monitor in the back of this car, but it is absolutely perfect for the purpose I'm hoping for it to serve. I can see through the back of the panel there are a few caps which are, I'm expecting, for the purpose of removing the screws. Let's try a different tool, screwdriver of some description. Or something pointy and pokey. Yeah, so there's some small rubber caps which actually obscure the 6 bolts which bolt it to that rear metallic plate. I'm not going to worry about taking that off just yet. So that's basically it. There's not really a great deal more to it other than the installation and getting it operational. Just to expand on these wires on the back, there is the door plus, door minus control wires. This will operate the dome lights. This will depend on if your vehicle goes to ground or positive when the dome lights activate. That is vehicle specific, which we'll figure out later on, and the rest is just, we've got video in 2, audio left in, and audio right in. So we've actually got 2 possible video connections. The audio is generally, for me, going to be operated through the main audio system, through the multimedia system, so we'll see what we need when we come to that point in time. And this one is just for the power cables. Okay, so we have this wiring loom that comes with the screen. Conveniently just connects in at this end. We're just going to plug that in there. And at this end we've got 2 fused connections, which is nice. One is the main live and one is the ACC. So it will always have a permanent live and it will have a connection to the ACC feed. So it only switches on when the ignition comes on with the rest of the car, the rest of the stereo system. So it's not on all the time and it drains the battery. So let's set up the bench supply and apply some 12 volts to both the power connections, because we don't need a switched live at this moment, it's all together. If I disconnect this, the whole thing will just power down. Okay, so with that connected, we're going to give this around 13.5 volts and a bit of current. So what I actually saw is the illumination around the back. So this has sort of got an uplighting system. I can see the LEDs on the back have actually come alive. And on the screen, we've got the Xtrons logo. We get a warning, please fasten your seatbelts. Let's just put this down so it's a little bit easier to see. So we're getting a nice friendly warning here that we need to fasten our seatbelts. And the display is currently loading. I say this thing has got Android built into it, so this thing will more or less operate more or less in its own right as a complete audio system. You can connect it to YouTube, and I'm expecting various music streaming, Spotify, etc. So you could run your system from this if you want to run it from the audio connections. Somebody can play through this, it will play through your stereo, play through your amplifiers. I believe that's the intention. But yeah, I mean, so far so good. The screen looks absolutely great. To say this is just going to be in a car, it's going to be supporting some business activities. It'll be almost used as a mobile office and so on. All that will become more apparent in future, but yeah, it's going to take this screen off. I'll probably obscure the image a bit. So it's not actually touchscreen, just out of curiosity. I wasn't sure if they are or not. So I'm expecting at this point we're going to need our air mouse. Okay, so I've just seen the instructions on the back. Let's pop this open, see what we've got. And we need a couple of batteries, which we haven't got, which I shall go and find. Okay, a couple of AAA batteries. Let's stick those in the back. And yes, our air mouse does indeed. Put that back on the back. Let's take off this protective film. It's covering a shiny surface. And I can indeed see that this, if you can see that on the screen, this does control a mouse pointer. Pretty nifty. I believe the sensors are actually in the top of this. I can see some infrared, what look like infrared controls, and we can go around and quite easily. This is how we would control it, sat from the rear seats of whichever vehicle you're in. So you don't actually need to get up and try and press on the screen, which is actually a good thing. Plus it will obviously keep grubby fingerprints away from it. And if you're generally used to using any kind of Android type device, this should be very familiar. It's all, there is a bit of a home button, yep. It obviously has this kind of front end to it, but underneath, let's say this is, if I'm going to try actually doing this from a distance, yeah, so when you're actually sat away from a distance pointing it at the screen, this is actually way easier to use. And yeah, you can move this around the screen actually really nicely. Works pretty well. It's got, it may take a little bit of practice for the actual control. But otherwise, reasonably easy and good to use. Certainly going to be a welcome addition. So yeah, that's a very basic look on this Xtrons screen. First impressions are good. The quality is, yeah, it's pretty good. It's all plastic. There's no sort of billet aluminium machining or anything along those lines. The plastics do actually seem genuinely sturdy. Let's just take off this extra piece of film covering the translucent plastics. There is a few what look like illuminations in here, so I'm assuming once I've actually read the instructions in a little bit more depth, this will make more sense. But yeah, so far so good. It seems pretty strong, pretty tough. This will fold up into the roof when it's not in use. Yep, so that will click up and it will lock away, and when you do want to use it, it's a case of pressing the button and dropping down. And this was a curiosity, yeah, so when it folds up it actually switches off, and when you fold it back down, this is obviously now rebooting. We get the same error warning, so that would appear to have completely shut down once it's retracted away and out, folded up into the roof. So that's it for now. That's just a quick look at this Xtrons 19.5 screen. It will be featured a lot more heavily once this starts going in. I'll probably do a test fit in the vehicle, get that on another episode, and then we'll be looking at making the installation platform that it's going to integrate into. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been some use. If you have a question about this thing, feel free to drop me a line. Thanks for watching, and yeah, please keep an eye out, and we'll be putting out more videos in future showing this thing installed and everything that's going to go around with it as the whole system. Thank you.